When you think of Italian exotics on two wheels, a few names spring to mind, and Aprilia is one of them because they make fast, exciting and technology-loaded motorcycles, which, like most Italian exotics, are out of reach for most of us Aam Janta riders. But when it came to Auto Expo 2016, the dream of owning an Aprilia became quite real, thanks to this, the Aprilia SR 150. Yes, it is a scooter, but it's got lots of attitude, huh? The twin lamps embedded in the pointy beak stare hard at you. But from some angles, the front can look a bit awkward. There's a sharp and waspy design for all the plastic panels. The racy graphics add to the sportiness of the SR 150. The stance backs up the attitude as well. There are large 14-inch wheels with meaty rubber and telescopic forks, which give it a confident and aggressive look. But being an Italian, it has plenty of neat details as well, like the floating apron panel, the flush-folding pillion foot pegs, the contrast-colored seat, and a split grab rail. All put together, it is quite a head-turner. Now, when it comes to modern-day scooters, we're used to getting a lot of extras. For instance, a remote release for the boot, and well, lots of space to store stuff in the boot, or a LED light to illuminate the boot, or well, a remote fuel filler opener, a charging point or a USB point. But the SR 150 has none of that. What it has instead is an engine, a really strong engine. The SR 150 uses the 154cc engine derived from the Vespa 150, and it has 11.6 horsepower and 11.5 Newton meters of torque. But the engine uses a longer crankcase to adapt it for the SR 150's size. On the road, this Aprilia feels fast. The ease with which it gets to 80 kph is frankly a bit shocking. And its ability to get to an indicated 100 kph is just as impressive. What makes it even more impressive is that it's got strong low-speed responses as well, which will make nipping through city traffic easy and fun. Now this is really funny. You may have noticed that the power and torque figures are the same as the Vespa 150, but apparently Aprilia engineers have made certain changes to the engine, but they're just not willing to share what they've done. They wanted to make this the fastest scooter in India, and right now it really does feel like it. But what's really impressive isn't the outright power, it's the responsiveness of the engine and the drivetrain. The way they work with the throttle inputs is just so precise and so connected, and these are things that we normally do not expect or get with scooters. And you know, there are a couple of rough edges. For instance, at idle you can feel a vibration at the bar, you can feel that pulsing quite apparently, and well, the note from the engine is a bit rough edged. But when you get going, it doesn't matter. These aren't deal breakers, and when you hit the road, you'll forget all about it, because that's where the chassis comes into play. The Aprilia uses a tubular underbone chassis, a telescopic front fork, a monoshock at the rear, 120 by 70 14-inch V-rubber tires. There's a 220mm disc brake from Bibre and a 240mm drum at the rear. All of this put together promises a lot, and the Aprilia does deliver. The brakes are properly strong, but thankfully they aren't too sharp. The suspension setup keeps body movement in check, so you can really chuck this into corners. Thanks to the larger wheels, the Aprilia doesn't feel twitchy to steer, and it gives you a lot of stability through the corners and at higher speeds. The V-rubber tires offer a lot of grip, and despite everything, it has a properly useful turning radius. Now the only downside to this setup, if at all, is that over rippled tarmac, the suspension does feel a bit jittery, but there are several upsides. For instance, even riding with a pillion at higher speeds, it feels very confident and composed. It doesn't feel loose or wallowy. And the other thing is that because of the way it is set up, because of the tires, the larger rims, when you hit a pothole or a bump, it doesn't crash. So the thing is that the setup is firm a little bit, but it isn't harsh. The rider's seat is wide, generous and well cushioned. The pillion seat is a bit on the small side. The riding position is comfy with enough room for taller riders, but the leg space isn't as much as on some other scooters. There's a 6-litre fuel tank and that should give you enough range. When it comes to under-seat storage, you have enough room for a half-face helmet or a smaller helmet. The simple switchgear includes a pass flash switch, which is a very handy feature. The all-analog instrument cluster looks a bit boring. There's no digital display to keep costs down. Also, some plastics feel a bit tough. Interestingly, the side stand will be offered as a compulsory accessory, and that means the 65,000 rupee ex-showroom price will increase a bit. The SR150 will be available in 2 colors for now and will be available through the 100-odd Vespa dealerships and 4 motorplexes across the country. Compared to the closest rivals from Japan, which is the Honda Activa 125 and the Suzuki Axis 125, the Aprilia will be just a bit more expensive. So at the end of the day, if you're looking for a regular scooter to commute on, the SR150 is something you can find several things to nitpick about. You could argue that it could have had more features, could have been a bit more comfortable in terms of ride, could have been a bit more practical when it comes to space, and could have been cheaper. But really, the SR150 isn't for you. It's for people who are looking for something that has the practicality of the scooter, but packs in a lot of fun, excitement, and makes a statement. And the SR150 does that really well, and at 65,000 rupees, it's kind of hard to argue against it. The strange thing is, Aprilia insists this is not a scooter. And I'd have to agree with them because after riding it, you feel that it has the soul of a motorcycle. I'm gonna call it the Hoot Scoot.
Hello and welcome to the Isuzu D-Max V-Cross. Now what this is a sort of outdoorsy lifestyle vehicle with all the rugged appeal and creature comforts of an SUV and the added utility of that loading bay at the back. Just to sweeten the deal, Isuzu has also given it 4-wheel drive. Now, clearly, I am not a very rugged, outdoorsy lifestyle kind of guy. In fact, all I've got to show for it are these boots and a slightly mangy looking beard. However, hopefully, this will be the car that converts me. Let's find out. Boy, does this thing have presence. It's got a big grille, a high bonnet, a chiseled bumper, projector headlamps, and if you see it in your rearview mirror, you will instinctively get out of the way. So it's just like an SUV in that respect. And even when you move to the side, it's pretty impressive. This V-Cross is just huge. The long dual cab points to a usable passenger space, the loading bed is well integrated, and the chunky wheels hang low below the big bloated arches, which tells you that this car could probably take a beating. And that's something I plan to put to the test. But first, there's just one more thing. Now, to make sure I do this whole utility thing properly, I'm actually going to use the D-Max to transport some furniture to my friend who lives just outside the city. So here we go, manual labor. He better be grateful. If you are one of those outdoorsy types, you'll be happy to know that the luggage bay can take 265 kg of your sports activity equipment. And the loading area is waterproof, so you can just hose it down when you're done. There are several hooks in the back to help tie things down too, but it's not completely flat thanks to the intruding wheel arches. And remember, this is the only luggage space in the car, and by default, it's wide open for all the world to see. Right, let's go. Manual labor done, it's time to hit the road. Now when you first get into the D-Max V-Cross and drive into traffic, it is a little bit intimidating, and that's because the size of this car is just so overwhelming. Now what doesn't help that sensation of hugeness is this steering, which is hydraulic, it's heavy, and it feels rather cumbersome. It's not so much of a problem right now because I'm on the move, but try parallel parking or making a U-turn in this thing and you will be in for a very solid upper body workout. What I do really like though is the engine. It is a pleasant surprise. Now Isuzu is actually known more for its engines than the cars they're in, and I have to say this is a really good one. It's a 2.5 litre diesel engine that makes 136 horsepower and 320 Newton meters of torque, and that might not sound like a lot compared to other engines of this size and type, but the way it's been tuned, as has the gearbox, is just brilliant. It gets off the line smoothly, it always feels like it has ample reserves of torque, and quite frankly, you could just leave it in third gear and amble around town all day. That's how tractable it feels. And okay, it might not be at the same level as a modern diesel sedan, but I have to say, for what it is, this diesel engine is quite refined. Finally, though the size of this vehicle can be a bit daunting when you first get in, you get used to it soon enough, and that's largely to do with the high driving position and the great view you get out of this car. It really doesn't feel too different from driving an SUV. Now while I'm here, I have to tell you that these seats are really rather comfy. They may not be leather wrapped, but they are very well cushioned and they're very plush, which will serve you well on a long highway journey. And very soon, that's exactly where we went. And because the V-Cross is a lifestyle vehicle, you might feel the need to take it out to, say, your farmhouse or to a holiday destination just outside the city. And for that, it needs to excel at being a highway vehicle. The good news is that apart from a little bit of float at very high speeds, this is an extremely stable car and you will have no problems with it cruising at 3-digit speeds on the expressway. Now what also makes this car great for the highway is its engine. All that tractability and abundance of torque that we just loved in the city plays its part out here as well. You just only have to leave it in a single gear and it will do the rest for you. Even overtaking doesn't always require a downshift. All things said and done, the D-Max feels just like a big SUV out on the highway. And that's exactly what you want. Soon though, it was time to ditch the wide, flat expanse of the expressway for narrow, broken country roads. Now where the V-Cross feels most comfortable and at home is on country roads, provided the road is wide enough to accommodate this big car. The reason for that is because this car's suspension is so well tuned for such a situation. It's high off the ground, it's really well calibrated, and it can take a serious punishing. You really don't mind flinging this car anywhere without even thinking twice. It really makes you feel invincible. However, while we are on the topic of the ride, because this is a pickup truck and because it uses leaf spring rear suspension, which is good at bearing heavy loads, when the car isn't loaded up, the ride tends to be really bouncy and fidgety, as you can probably tell right now. Load the bed up with gear or luggage, however, and it settles down a lot better. Now that we're on a nice tight ghat road, I can tell you that this being a pickup truck, it's no handler. Yup, it's a big ladder frame chassis 1.9 ton vehicle. So obviously, as you might imagine, there's a lot of body roll as you go around corners. The steering feels a bit vague and numb. It's hydraulic, so it's got a lot of heft to it. But really, this is not a car you want to be driving fast around corners anyway, right? No. What you want to do is drive over corners and reach your destination as the crow flies. This is a tough looking car, and that makes you want to take it off-road. And well, we're in the countryside and it has 4x4. It would be rude not to. Now, one of the smartest things Isuzu has done with this car is give it four-wheel drive. And I'm not talking about some part-time adaptive sensor-based system. No, this is a proper 4x4 system. Now, using this knob, you can select between two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive high, and yes, four-wheel drive low. It's not the most sophisticated system in the world, but it is robust, it's tough, and it can really take a beating, and that's what you want. In fact, if we gave this car some off-road tires, I really think it would be quite unstoppable. And more than just its capability off the road, giving this car four-wheel drive does wonders for its image as a lifestyle vehicle. And I think above all else, it's just so much fun. The other thing that any good lifestyle vehicle needs is an interior that is comfy enough. And Isuzu has made sure they've got that just right with the V-Cross. Now, if you've ever been inside a Chevrolet Trailblazer, you'll find this interior rather familiar. And that's because the two cars share a same platform, and in doing so, share a lot of components, including the dashboard. In fact, if you think of this as a slightly trimmed down version of the big Chevy's interior, you'd be spot on. It's still got quite a lot of kit though. There's a slick functioning touchscreen with Bluetooth, USB and aux in. There's auto climate control, dual airbags, ABS, a fuel and trip computer, and height adjustment for the steering wheel and seat. One thing that is sorely missed on such a big car though is a rear view camera. I mean, backing this thing up is a chore on its own, and without the aid of a camera or even parking sensors, it becomes just that bit more difficult. What is the worry with trucks though is that you can't use them as proper family cars. But guess what? Now you might think that where a pickup truck like this suffers is in the back seat because of all that storage space behind you. But you'd be happy to know that Isuzu has not let that happen. This is a properly spacious 5-seat cabin. Well, as you can see, I've got enough headroom, enough legroom. There's plenty enough width for 3 people. And yeah, if I had to complain, it's probably that the seat is a little bit low, so thigh support isn't all that great, and that the seat back is a bit upright. Still, it's a very comfortable seat, and I think you'd be quite happy here over long distances. So there you have it then. On this one trip, the V-Cross has managed to do everything in its brief. It's been a comfortable cruiser, it's packed with all the creature comforts I could ask of it, it's incredibly capable off-road, and it's also managed to lug all my furniture all the way here. The best part is, this one can be registered as a private vehicle and not just a commercial one, and that should give it a whole lot more appeal. At just under 13 lakh rupees, it's a little bit more expensive than its rivals from Mahindra and Tata, but then it's so much more car for your money. The bigger question is, has it converted me into an outdoorsy lifestyle person? Oh yes, it has. I think I really want one of these. Now, if someone could just give me a hand with unloading the flatbed, that would be great. Oh, well, let's just put it this way, my friend is not going to be very happy. Remember kids, don't carry around furniture and off-road at the same time.